All right, so today we're gonna dive into something a little bit different.
Okay.
A scenario that I think initially, at least, seems almost impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Hermione Granger and Draco Malfoy
Wow.
forced to work together
Yeah.
by a ministry decree.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, what? What are they thinking? This is Uneasy Alliance, Unforeseen Hearts,
Mm-hmm.
this piece that you sent me, and it takes place during Voldemort's rise to power.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so you have this, like, almost the most volatile pairing imaginable.
Yeah, you couldn't pick two people more opposed to each other, I don't think.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's so fascinating because it really makes you think, like, beyond just the magic and the fantasy of it all, like, can necessity and shared experience actually override, like, years of animosity and deeply ingrained prejudice? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like that question of, like, can people actually change? Can we bridge these divides under extreme circumstances?
Yeah, like, I think that's something we can all sort of relate to, even without the magical context. Like, in our own lives, we've probably encountered situations where we have to work with people who we maybe initially don't see eye to eye with.
Absolutely.
So it's like, how do those relationships evolve, or do they,
Right, and how do you navigate that, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's talk about this cooperation program born out of what must have been just like a last-ditch effort by the ministry,
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Right. So they pair Hermione, the brilliant principled Hermione with Draco.
Oh, boy.
Talk about a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I can only imagine what their first meeting must have been like, just sparks flying.
Well, the source actually describes that initial encounter, and it's in McGonagall's office.
Oh, wow.
Right? So you have this backdrop of authority.
Right.
And the headmistress is the one delivering this news with a sense of, like, this is how it has to be.
Right. It's not even a question.
There's no room for debate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Draco's described as standing by the window with this, like, air of detachment, but, you could almost feel the tension.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, knowing Draco, he's probably internally just fuming,
Oh, absolutely.
but trying to maintain his composure.
Right. Like, I can only imagine what's going through his mind.
Right. And I mean, you have to think about the bigger picture, too.
Yes.
This is all happening as Voldemort is gaining power and the wizarding world is fracturing.
Yes.
So there's this underlying sense of fear and desperation that's driving everything.
It's like they're willing to try anything, even pairing these two sworn enemies.
It's a gamble, for sure.
A huge gamble.
Yeah.
And what's their mission? What are they tasked with doing? They have to find this lost artifact called the Amulet of Fortitude.
The Amulet of Fortitude.
In the ruins of some ancient wizarding settlement in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh, wow. So they're being sent off into the wilderness.
Right. And their only guide is this, like, leather-bound book.
Oh, no.
Full of fragmented clues.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the tension, we've got the high stakes, and now we've got good old-fashioned treasure hunt.
Exactly. It's a classic quest narrative.
Yeah.
But with this, like, incredibly complex human element at its core.
Absolutely.
So can you imagine them in the library, like, poring over this ancient text, trying to decipher these clues?
Oh, it must have been excruciating.
Oh, it's like you can practically feel the animosity radiating off of them.
Right.
And there's this one scene where Hermione manages to decipher this celestial alignment. And Draco, being Draco, he can't help himself.
Of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
He makes this, like, snide comment about how she's finally understanding something rudimentary.
Oh, Draco.
But Hermione doesn't back down. She fires back with this, like, pointed reminder of his, his past allegiances.
Right, she's not going to let him forget about that.
No way.
Yeah.
And so it's just clear that, like, the history between them is still so raw.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be hard to just set aside.
Right.
Especially given everything that's happened.
And then the journey to the Highlands, it's not exactly a bonding experience.
I bet.
Constant arguments over navigation strategy, who gets to hold the book, you name it.
Sounds exhausting.
Right. It's less like a cooperative expedition and more like, a magical version of a really tense road trip.
I can picture it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not going well.
No, not at all.
But even amidst all this bickering, there are these, like, subtle shifts.
Oh.
Yeah, like moments where Hermione starts to see that Draco's actually quite intelligent and resourceful, especially when it comes to navigating the terrain.
Okay.
And Draco, on the other hand, he seems to grudgingly acknowledge that Hermione's knowledge and her determination are actually, valuable assets.
Right.
It's not friendship yet,
Right.
but it's the beginning of something.
It's like that begrudging respect that sometimes develops when you're forced to work with someone,
Exactly.
even if you don't particularly like them.
Yeah, and they're starting to see each other as individuals rather than just, enemies.
Right.
And then there's this one evening, they're by the fire after this like really close call with some kind of magical creature.
Oh, no.
And the adrenaline has worn off, and there's this moment of shared vulnerability. The usual animosity is gone, and Draco actually acknowledges Hermione's quick thinking that saved them.
Oh, wow. That's a big step for him.
And she just replies quietly. It's like this brief glimpse of a connection.
Yeah, like they're seeing each other as human beings for a moment.
Right.
Not just Gryffindor and Slytherin.
Exactly. And it's those little moments that start to chip away at the wall between them.
Right, because it's not about house rivalries anymore.
It's about survival.
Yeah.
So as they continue deeper into the ruins, they encounter all these magical puzzles and traps.
That sounds dangerous.
Oh, it's incredibly dangerous, and it forces them to rely on each other even more.
They need to work together.
They have to. And there's this one really intense scene where a tunnel starts to collapse.
Oh, no.
And Draco, without hesitation, he pushes Hermione out of the way.
Wow.
He takes the impact himself.
He saves her life.
He does, and it's such a turning point because it's this act of selfless bravery.
Yeah, he's risking his own life to protect her.
It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about him.
Absolutely.
And Hermione's reaction is so telling. She's genuinely concerned for him. And as she tends to his injuries, there's this like undeniable tension between them. But it's not hostile.
Right.
It's something else entirely.
It's like all those years of animosity are starting to give way to something new.
Right.
Something unexpected.
And then finally they find it.
They find the amulet.
They find the amulet.
Wow.
But their victory is short-lived.
Oh, no, wow.
Because they're ambushed by Death Eater.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And in the ensuing battle, you see this incredible display of teamwork.
Really?
Their magic, it's like it's flowing together almost seamlessly.
That's amazing.
They're fighting back to back, protecting each other. And there's even this moment where their eyes meet.
Oh, wow.
And it's electric.
Okay, so the danger is bringing them closer together.
Absolutely.
They're having to rely on each other, trust each other.
It's like the shared threat is forging this bond between them that they never could have imagined.
And it's not just a bond of necessity anymore, is it?
No, it's something deeper.
Yeah.
So they return to Hogwarts with the amulet, but things are different.
Ow,
They can't deny what's happened between them.
Right.
They start seeking each other out, having these like secret conversations in deserted corridors and the library.
Okay.
They share their burdens, their fears, the weight of the war.
It's like they found a safe space in each other.
Yeah, a
Wow.
place where they can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Hermione starts to see Draco's disillusionment with his own side.
Mm.
And Draco, he sees Hermione's strength, but also her vulnerability.
It's like they're finally seeing each other as complete people.
And it's dangerous
Dangerous. Why?
because their connection is forbidden.
Oh, right.
The Golden Girl and the former Death Eater.
Yeah, that's not going to go over well with anyone.
No, it's a secret they have to protect.
So their relationship, it's born out of necessity.
Yeah.
But now it's become this source of comfort and danger all at the same time.
Right.
That's a lot to handle.
It is, and there's this one scene under an ancient oak tree where Draco expresses his fear.
There's fear for their safety?
Yeah, he's terrified of what will happen if their secret is revealed.
I bet.
And Hermione, her response is so powerful, she says, then we'll be dangerous together.
Wow.
It's a declaration of defiance and unity.
It's like they're choosing each other despite the risks.
Despite everything.
So what happens next? Do they manage to keep their relationship a secret?
Well, the source kind of leaves us hanging,
Oh, no.
but it makes you think about the power of shared experience,
Right.
how it can challenge even the most deeply held beliefs,
Yeah, it's like a testament to the idea that people can change.
and that connections can blossom in the most unexpected places.
So for our listeners out there, have you ever experienced something similar? Like maybe you were forced to work with someone you didn't like.
And over time, you found common ground or even a friendship.
Right. Because sometimes those unlikely partnerships can lead to the most surprising outcomes.
It's like a reminder that we should never judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, here's a final thought to ponder what seemingly impossible connections might be possible in your own life.
Are there any hidden bridges waiting to be built?
It's worth considering because you never know what kind of magic might be waiting just around the corner.
Food for thought.
Indeed.
Until next time.